Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to May's Chats. I'm going to be doing this again. I'm going to be announcing it over and over. Going to be doing these little short form content, and on this one I want to talk about isolation versus set apart, or loneliness. Isolation versus loneliness, like when you're by yourself and you're isolated. There's two types, right? So I just want to talk about isolation and how with isolation you are intentionally putting yourself away from people and not hanging out with people, or just maybe you're depressed or you're sad or you're like going through something, so you're kind of like keeping yourself away from community, keeping yourself away from other people. And then when you're in like something like solitude, you are by yourself, but there's like something happening, like the Lord's doing something, and that there's like growth happening in solitude. So you are intentionally by yourself, but it's not because you're sad or depressed or because you're going through something detrimental. It's because you're growing and you are doing endeavors and growing yourself mentally, emotionally, whatever it is. You're healing from different things of your life, whatever is going on. And I want to talk about the difference between the two because I've experienced both of them in the last few years. So I want to talk about isolation. And isolation is kind of like more like a negative connotation, honestly. Like you are intentionally separating yourself from community because you feel sad, depressed, you feel like not good enough, and you're like you feel lonely, and you just feel like people don't understand you, so you're separating yourself from people. And the negative thing about doing that, because I've done it before, I just, on my last one I talked about how I had really bad distrust for people, so this is kind of goes, coincides with that. And with isolation, I just was by myself, lonely, depressed, and sad about everything, different things in my life, or different things I desired, or whatever the case may be. It's different for everyone, and it was just such a dark and lonely place. And like lonely, like, oh my gosh, I don't have anyone, even though there's like different people around you. It's like you just feel like you're just all alone in this world. And that's where like the enemy can just come in and just make all these lies to you and tell you all these things about yourself that's just absolutely not true. And that's what happens in isolation. You don't have any accountability. You don't have a friend that you can like count on or you can call, because you're putting yourself in this place of loneliness, but all by yourself because of some sadness. And it's really an attack of the enemy to get the believer, or whoever you are, even if you're not a believer, to get you alone by yourself so he can continue just to beat you up mentally and emotionally all by yourself. Because when you have people around you, they'll be able to say, pour into you and encourage you and give you uplifting words. But in isolation, when you're by yourself and you're doing that intentionally because of whatever reason, that's where the enemy can come in and start lying to you and really just beating down who you are as a person and your identity. And it's really not a good place to be when you are isolated like that. But when it comes to things like solitude, for me, like I went through this where I felt like the Lord was removing people, places, and things away from me, and allowing me to be by myself, because he was maturing me and growing me in different areas. And sometimes I felt like, oh my gosh, like, I don't have a whole bunch of people around me, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I am lonely, oh my gosh, I'm sad. It wasn't because of sadness or anything or depression that I was in that place of solitude. It was God was teaching me. He was training me up, showing me different things in the Word, giving me revelation in that time. And it was a place of growth and a place of peace and a place of joy, honestly, and also understanding my purpose and where God is calling me to. And in that place of solitude, I was able to grow and get that information. Sometimes you got to choose yourself. Sometimes you got to choose you. And what I mean by choosing you is like, sometimes people don't understand what you're going through. Sometimes people don't understand what you're doing or why you're doing it. They don't understand the way you do things. And it's like, in that place of solitude, it's like, you're choosing yourself, and you have to do that sometimes when you're trying to figure out where God has called you, your purpose, the vision, the plan. Sometimes you can't do that in a room full of people, even if it's like other believers. Like, you can't do that in a room full of people. Sometimes you need to take a step back and just you and the Lord in a quiet space for you to hear what he is saying to you. And then when you're out of that place of solitude, then there's a bunch of growth that comes out of that. And then people are like, oh my gosh, wow, like you just did that, or you're doing this, or you're stepping out and you're doing this and that. And it was because you had to take that time of solitude to grow with the Lord. And sometimes people may not understand that. So I just wanted to come on and like say the difference between, isolation, solitude. There is a very big difference between isolation and then solitude. Solitude is where you're growing, you're learning, you're achieving different things in the back over there, and no one knows what you're doing. Sometimes you need to keep things quiet into yourself and grow just by yourself. And then isolation is you are doing that because you're sad, you don't feel good enough, or you feel lonely, and it's like just a ploy of the enemy to attack your mind and keep you bound up in different things. So isolation is not a good place to be. And if you're feeling like you're isolated, you're feeling like you're lonely, reach out to people. There is somebody out there that cares for you, even if you don't think they care for you, even if you think they don't love you. Just call somebody anyway, and just talk to someone about what you're going through, what you're feeling. Don't sit in the dark and let the enemy lie to you and keep you from what God has called you to. Okay, I've experienced that, and it's not good. It's a terrible place to be. So yeah, I just wanted to share the difference between isolation and solitude, and we really need to know the difference between the two. And so yeah, if you're missing out on community, please reach out to someone to help and talk to, about different things going on in your heart. But if God has called you to solitude and you can see that he's trying to grow you in some areas, that's okay too. Your friends and people will understand eventually, if you're choosing not to hang out or do different things because you're trying to grow in the Lord. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that was also on my heart, so I wanted to come on and share that. So I'll be doing more May chats. Thank you guys for joining me, and I hope to see you again next time. Thanks. Bye bye.